Hi there, welcome to Integrated Planning, where we take an integrated approach to growing and protecting your wealth. My name is Sophie Blais, and today I'm going to be talking to you about when can I retire? The question of when can I retire is often the first one asked in a planning conversation. And really, you have to go back a little bit. And the question I always ask back is, what does retirement look like to you? And what is it that you want to achieve in retirement? So we can have a really fulsome planning conversation about the objectives of retirement, health considerations, family considerations, and really at the end of the day, what does retirement look like? I always like to say that retirement should be on your own terms, and it should look the way that you want it to look. It's not ending work and being done. For many, many people today, retirement is just a change. It might be moving towards part-time work. It might be doing things that you love to do, working for a charity, doing philanthropic work, things like that. So it's really important, those fulsome discussions with your integrated planning team and your trusted advisors will really help you navigate the decision. Everybody's retirement looks a little bit different, and one of the best parts about being a financial advisor is listening to people's plans for what they want to do after they make that change away from full-time work. And you know, there are a couple of different stages that normally occur in retirement that are really important to take into consideration. There is the first stage, sometimes that euphoric stage where people are checking off their bucket list. There's typically a lot of travel in the first few years of retirement, larger expenses, you know, buying a cabin or a cottage, looking at investing in a trailer. It depends on each individual and what they want to achieve. After a little while, then things kind of settled out, and you know, health considerations might change. And health has a really big impact to retirement, and not only your individual health. A lot of retirees have older parents, and their health, your parents' health, can actually seriously impact your retirement plan, especially if they need your financial support as well as your time support. And then finally, the last part of retirement, you know, it looks different for everybody. I'd mentioned in an earlier video that my grandmother is 104. She still lives on her own. But for many individuals, there might be a transition to assisted living. There might be an assisted to home care or into a long-term care facility. So making sure that looking at all the various stages of retirement and how it impacts your financial plan and the bottom line is really important. And that's where a planner can help you make some of those decisions and look at how everything will work. So I've often mentioned that in any planning decision, there are two sides, right? There is the head and the heart. And anybody that's worked with me for any significant period of time, and my clients know that Sophie will always talk about both pieces. And, you know, wanting to retire, being ready to retire are two totally different things. It's really important as you are approaching retirement that you're looking at the different aspects, that you're having great conversations with your spouse if you have one, as to what that looks like, making sure you're both on the same page. I always laugh, many clients where one spouse either may work from home or has always been at home or retired earlier. What's that going to look like when the second one is at home full time? There's a lot of different things that come into play, and the psychological side, the what are you going to do, how is that all going to look, is really, really important, because retirement can be really tough. And if we actually look at statistics, a lot of people that retire actually end up back in the workforce within 24 months. So when you're looking at retirement, it's budgeting 101 is the same all the way through. You know, what do you have, what assets do you have available to fund your retirement? So that might be investments, it might be pensions, you might have, you know, different savings plans. Are you downsizing your home? One area to be really cautious around planning for is inheritance. So I always caution my clients that inheritances are not predictable. We don't know when they're coming. Sometimes we think there's more coming than there is, and so it can create a false sense of security in a retirement plan. So looking to build your plan without that is the recommended course of action. If we look at expenses in retirement, there's a few different things that should be talked about. One is mortgage. You know, if you have a mortgage going into retirement, understand that that is a substantial expense that you have. Normally in working with clients, my recommendation would be to have your mortgage paid off or have a really strong plan as to how you will manage those mortgage payments within your retirement plan. So in retirement, many people assume that they'll be spending less, whereas what we've seen and what studies have shown is people actually tend to spend more in retirement. And looking at the different phases of retirement, if you have a bucket list, trips, vacations, special events that you want to do, that can actually have a pretty big impact to your expenses. Healthcare expenses can also make a huge dent to your retirement budget. And when you start looking at long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities, there is a broad spectrum of facilities available in Canada, some of which are partially subsidized by the government, all the way to the other end, which are fully funded by you, the resident. So those are things too that you really want to look at. If and when you get to that place, what does that look like for you? And where do you want to be and what is that going to cost? If you and your spouse are retiring, another important piece to consider in your retirement plan is what happens in the event that one of you are gone. And depending on how your income is structured and who is taking that income, that is a very important discussion to have. We want to make sure that if one spouse outlives the other spouse by a significant period of time, that the surviving spouse does have enough income to live their retirement. Perfect examples, both of my grandmothers outlived their husbands by over 20 years. So making sure that there's enough resources in place to take care of the surviving spouse is really important, whether that's continuation of pension benefits, insurance to take care of any gaps in income, or any other planning considerations that you need to take. So you're a business owner and you want to retire. That can look different for every different business owner. Whether you're bringing in a family member in to take over the business, whether that's looking at one of your key employees is taking over or a group of key employees and buying the business out. There are so many different aspects to consider that you do need to work with your integrated planning team to come up with how that works best. But at the end of the day, a lot of the considerations, individual or planning, are the same. And it's making sure you look at the income sources, what's available, and what the expenses are going to be. So as a business owner, planning for retirement, any planning, it's important to start as early as you can. And we talked about shareholders agreements and things like that in an earlier session. And really, truly, it is all those pieces being put in place that ensures that the business owner has the say over what happens in their retirement and can make the decisions that they want to make based on how they retire or how they transition to live the life they want to live. So as a business owner, there's a couple questions that you'd want to ask your integrated planning team. If you have a holdco, do you keep that holdco? What happens to your opco? What are the tax implications of transitioning or gifting shares to family versus selling it to family or to an outside person? The other thing that you might want to consider is how active do you want to be in the business? Many business owners still want to remain relevant to the businesses that they created. What does that look like? So again, there are so many different areas to talk about and to explore. So the earlier you start those conversations, the better you can structure and do your business planning to ensure that your result is the result that happens. So retirement is a very individual thing. There was a tagline called Freedom 55 many, many years ago, and people thought, well, you retire at age 55, or people think you retire at age 65. That's not the case. Retirement is unique. It's unique to you. It's unique to your situation, and it looks different for everybody. And so again, retiring on your own terms, it'll look the way you want it to look. And if you've got the right A-team behind you and helping you and asking you the right questions, you'll design a retirement plan that'll suit your lifestyle. I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of clients to build and then to go through into retirement. One thing that, if there's a takeaway to have, if you are not an avid hiker pre-retirement, thinking that you will become an avid hiker or anything else after retirement, it doesn't usually happen that way. If you're looking at retirement and what that looks like beyond the dollars and cents, what your retirement looks like is going to be an extension of who you are, what you like today, what you enjoy doing. To think that you've never traveled and you don't really like getting on a plane and then, as soon as you retire, you're going to go on a worldwide adventure, it doesn't happen that way. And be okay with your retirement plan and what you want. If it's staying close to home and working in your garden and spending time with family, or if it's taking epic adventures because that's what you love to do, it doesn't matter. It's not one size fits all. Each person's retirement plan will look a little bit different. Build one that's right for you. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, please be sure to press like or subscribe to our channel to learn more. If you'd like access to some of our free planning resources, please click the link below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Integrated Planning.